welcome to episode 11 of Ina Knits, my video podcast about my passions for yarn and knitting. My name is Ina and I am coming to you from the middle part of Norway, where I live with my family. You can find me online as Ina Pina on Ravelry and as Ina Pina with __ on Instagram. And I also have a Ravelry group for this podcast, and that is called Ina Knits. You can find it by searching the groups tab on Ravelry. So welcome to this episode, which will be a little bit special, and that is due to the fact that I am home with my youngest. He is not feeling too well, has been home from kindergarten these past 3 days. So he is sitting in the room next door, watching one of his favorite films, which is Angry Birds. So I suspect that there might be some interruptions during this recording, and I apologize if you hear movie noises, because I couldn't close the door just in case he wants to check on me. And I also are going to dedicate this episode to my whips or UFOs. Whips is works in progress, and I have shown you some of them. UFOs are known as unfinished objects, and after some time in hibernation, a whip will become a UFO. And I have actually managed to assemble all of my whips and UFOs, and the purpose of that is to get an overview of what I have laying around and decide whether I will keep it and continue working on it, or whether I should put it into the frog pond and rip it out. So that is the plan for today, and I'm also going to show you one finished object which I have, and some yarn purchases. So I will start off with showing you my finished object this week, and there are a pair of mittens. So these are knit for my eldest daughter. She really wanted a pair of thick wool mittens, which is absolutely necessary during January and February, the colder months here. This pair is actually a pair of they're called sorry, I have to check my notes. They're called Marius tova votter, and as you can see, there are not any particular colorwork pattern on these, and that is because I just skipped the colorwork pattern, which was supposed to be a Marius pattern, because she wanted just plain ones. But the pattern is number 93. It's a free pattern from Sandnes Garn or Sandnes Yarn, and on their webpage, I believe, but I'm not sure if it's in English or if it's just in Norwegian. So I follow the pattern for the size extra small and small. And I just used some scraps on the cuff here, some old leftovers Setesdalskofte garn. And the rest of the mitten is knit in Kirkcaldy 2-ply wool, which is quite rustic 2-ply wool, but I held 2 strands together, so it's double strand. And the color was called blueberry. So, and then I felted the mittens on 40 degrees Celsius in my washing machine on the short circle, I believe it's called, a short program, and I put a towel in the washing machine together with mittens so that they would felt more. And they are quite dense, and that was just what I was aiming to do. I wanted them to become quite dense. And then I had to stretch them quite a lot while they were wet. So I stretched them to the size I wanted, and then they was just left on the bathroom floor to dry. So I'm very pleased with these, and my daughter is very happy with her new pair of mittens. So that was the only finished object for this week. And now I'm going to show you the whip parade, and I will start off with the newest whips, and I will work chronologically backwards in time. And I believe the oldest UFO I will show you is, it's nearly 10 years old. So my newest work in progress is a pair of my man-sized socks. I had just started the first sock last time I recorded a podcast episode. I have finished the first sock. And this pair is a pair that I have been asked to knit for a friend of my mother's, and she kindly asked if I could knit 2 pairs of man-sized socks for her husband and her son-in-law. So this is the first pair I'm knitting up, and this is how far I am on the second one. So yeah, I have turned the heel and finished with the gusset decreases. And I am using Regia, and this is a solid grey color. And this is Barocco socks. And yeah, I have casted on 72 stitches, and I am doing rib pattern on the front of the sock, just to ensure that they will fit nicely. And yeah, I think that's all there is to say about the socks. I striped, obviously I have striped the grey and the multicolored yarn all the way with 5 rounds on each striping section. So that is my first work in progress. And my second one is the Irish shrug, which is obviously a bit hard for me to pronounce. And the status of this shrug is, let's see if I can show you, that I have finished working on the body. And I actually finished the body section just after my previous episode, 1.5 weeks ago. But then it turned out that after I blocked the piece, I realized that I didn't get the measurements right. So I needed to enlarge the body section and make it longer, about 10 centimeters longer. So I had to add 1 pattern repeat on each side. So I have done that, but I haven't blocked it again. And I find blocking a bit boring, I have to admit that. So I'm not too happy about the fact that I need to block it once more before I can continue with the arms. But really, I just have to do it, and then I'm going to continue working on the arms, and then I will do the hem around the whole garment and do some Kitchener stitching, and yeah. And I'm aiming to finish this beautiful shrug within the end of January, because then I can enter it into the knit along that is for this shrug in Amy's Little Kingdoms group on Ravelry. The yarn I'm using is this beautiful yarn. It is Warp Collection. In the base is Linnea, and the color is called Cosmic Chaos. My third whip I have to show you very carefully because it has lost its needles. This is the Setesdal cardigan, or at least the first arm. I've talked about this cardigan many times. It is a cardigan or a kofte that I have had on my wish list for a long time, and I found the dream yarn for it, and this yarn is Easy Knits, and it is their big boy base in a beautiful grey and a beautiful burgundy red. Not sure if it's showing up as dark as it is, but this is called Merlot, just as the wine grape Merlot. And I love how the grey and the deep red is playing together. So I'm really looking forward to having this finished, but it is moving so slowly, unfortunately. So, but this is something that I really want to finish this winter, and hopefully I can have it done by Easter so that I can wear it during my Easter holiday in the mountains. Whip number 4 is the peace sweater that I am knitting for Mom. It is a pattern by Rauma, and this is the progress so far. It is a beautiful patterned sweater that I am turning into a cardigan because my mother wanted a cardigan instead of a sweater. And it is patterned all over, so it's quite an undertaking to knit this sweater, but of course I'll do it for my mother. So I casted it on in June 2007, and I have knit on it periodically. I had a long break from sometimes this fall and until 1 week ago. Then I picked it up again, and the progress I have made after knitting on it for 2 or 3 evenings is from this progress keeper and up to the needles. So as you can tell, it's moving very slowly, and I believe that I need another 10 centimeters before the sleeve is done. The yarn I'm using is baby wool from Dale, and it's very soft and nice to work with, but I don't find it the best choice for color work because it is superwash treated and it's so soft. It's also quite slippery on the needles, and I think it's a bit hard to get the color work pattern nice. So I need to, all the time while I'm knitting the pattern, I need to adjust the tension on the floats, and I tend to pull the strands all the time to make sure that it's not too tight and not too loose on the back of the pattern. Whip number 5. This is a test knit that I did for Emilia of Stranded Knitting last winter. And these are her Sigrid socks, which I'm not sure if she has released the pattern on yet. But it has a beautiful 4 cable on the side. And the second sock is just halfway down the leg. And this beautiful yarn that I am knitting with is from Countess Ablaze. It's their Persephone sock yarn, and the color is Kamikaze. I really love this pattern, but I think the main reason why I stopped working on it was that the color is bleeding while I'll knit on it. So I get blue on my fingers, and I guess that's the color will stop bleeding after the first round of washing. But yeah, they're in here and I intend to finish them for sure. Okay, so we are definitely now over to the UFO section, because the next UFO or whip that I'm going to show you is 1 year old. And this is another test knit that I did last winter. And these are called Quartz mittens. And they are by Erika Mount Designs. And they're quite nice colorwork mittens. And they are knit out of sport weight yarn. I have used a combination of Sandnes Smart in this light minty color and the charcoal grey, and the dark petrol color is Sterk from Du Stor Alpaca, which is an alpaca yarn. So yeah, I really like them, but I don't think that I enjoyed knitting the first mitten very much, because I haven't casted on the second one yet. And it might have something to do with the fact that I had other projects going at the same time, obviously, because I always do. And in order to finish this test knit, I only had to knit one mitten. So that might be the reason why I haven't casted on the second one yet. I do have the yarn here though. And the needles. So I will definitely finish this UFO. You can never have enough mittens, right? My next UFO is a little over 1 year old, I believe. And it is the Pixel Rice socks. And the pattern is by Kemper Wray. And I knitted this sock obviously because I find the pattern very nice, and the effect of the pixel pattern is beautiful with all of these scrappy yarns that I have used. She had a knit along going for these socks after she released the pattern, and I think when she released the pattern they were only like $1 for the pattern or something. So I bought it and I knitted this first sock in order to participate in her knit along, because you only had to knit or finish one sock in order to be eligible for prizes. Oh, that is such a bad idea. Okay, so I finished the first sock and I never started the second one, unfortunately. I'm not sure if I got all of these little scraps left to make the second one identical with the first sock. So I'm thinking that I might just knit the second one in completely different colors and scraps, and hopefully I will have enough left to make the toe and the heel and the cuff grey, and then they will be a matchy but not so very matchy pair, and I think that will work just fine. So I really like this, and I have every intention of knitting the second one. Just haven't got around to do it yet. Whip or UFO number 9 is another pair of socks, and these are beautiful cabled sock which is knit toe up, as you can see, and it has this very intricate nice cable pattern that is going on the entire way from the toe and up. And the pattern is called Waimakariri. This is a pattern by Sonya Newstead, and it was one of the patterns in the Sock Madness competition in 2016, 2 years ago. And I have also started the second sock because, yeah, I thought that I would be more likely to finish the pair if I knitted them almost in tandem. But unfortunately that didn't help. I gave up. So I haven't touched these socks since I knitted on them during the competition. They are knit on 2mm needles, and the yarn that I'm using is Sandnes Fantasy, and this is a yarn that's not available anymore. It's discontinued. And frankly, I am very much unsure if I'm going to be able to complete the pair. The reason for that is I'm not actually sure if I can now understand where I am in the pattern. I didn't mark off in the pattern as I knitted the pair, and I just remember that the pattern was so intricate that I had to pay extreme attention to do it right. But the pattern is very beautiful, and I love the cabling and everything, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to complete them. Most likely I will rip them out and reuse the yarn for something else. So I realize now that I forgot to show you whip number 7. So I'm going to do that now. This pattern is called How Cold Is It? I have showed you the mitten in a previous episode, and then I had some hopes that I would continue knitting on this thumb in order to finish the first mitten. But as you can see, I haven't done that yet. So the problem with the thumb is that it was too tight. So I have to rip it back and add some more stitches and adjust the pattern accordingly. Obviously this is the Norwegian version of the mitten. They come in English version as well. The yarn I've used is Rauma fin ull, a non-superwash yarn, which is perfect for mittens. And this is Texrena. It's a yarn that I bought in Estonia. So this is the first mitten and it is absolutely doable. Va? Ja, du har ikke begynt på skolen ennå, Iver. Du har jo ikke begynt på skolen ennå. So this is the first mitten and I have every intention of completing the pair. So now we are moving on to some deep stashed UFOs. The next one is from July 2015. And it is the Askews Me shawl by Stephen West. I'm of course in the middle of a row, so it's not possible for me to show the entire shawl. But it is a brioche patterned shawl. And I remember when I started the shawl, this was the first time I ever knitted brioche, and I loved it so much, and I love that you could combine different colors and that the colors will be appear reverse on the other side. But then I've used so many different colors that I'm actually not sure if I like how they're playing together all the way. And it makes the shawl look so scrappy, and I'm actually not sure if I'm going to be using it. So it has been in hibernation for such a long time now because I fear that I need to rip it out. And I think that's a big shame because I have put so much energy and love into the shawl so far. But I think maybe I could do another attempt on the same shawl later on, and then be a bit more aware of which colors I'm putting together, and maybe only stick to 2 colors for the whole shawl. I think that would be a better option for me. But I love the brioche texture. It's so squishy and lovely, and I think it would be a dream to wear such a shawl during the colder months. We are now moving on to the very end of my UFOs. And that's a good thing. This is number 11. And it is my Cozy Memories blanket. I love this blanket. And I have completed knitting on it. I think that I showed you this blanket in my very first episode. And then I had a plan to weave in the rest of the ends. And you can see my progress on that so far. Not very impressive. It's not actually that bad because I have been good and I have been sewing in ends every now and then. So the only ends that I now actually have left is on the very last row of the blankets. So the rest of the blankets is absolutely completed with regards to weaving in ends. But I don't think that the blanket looks very finished without some border around it. So I have been thinking about adding a border. I have actually tried knitting a knitted on border in some regular white sock yarn, but I didn't like it all that much. So I have been purchasing some Sandnes Sisu in a charcoal grey color. It's very dark, as you can see. Color 1088. And my plan now is to knit I'm not sure what you would call it, but I'm going to cast on, I think, about 10 stitches, maybe 12, and then I will knit the stitches, pick up one stitch of the blanket and knit it together with the last stitch of the border stitches. Then I will knit back, and then I will repeat that process. Then I will have a knitted on border all the way. I think that's my plan. And maybe I will make I-cord along the edge of the border. So we shall see. Yeah. Now there's only one UFO left. And that is this one. So this is going to be a basket. It is, I don't know, it's very difficult to see it right now, but it is knitted from this point, and then you add stitches to a full circle, and then you join in the round and you knit upwards. And the clue here is that this is going to be felted. So, and it needs to be felted quite hard so that it will stand up on its own. And I think I maybe are going to fold down the sides on the top here, so fold it over when it's finished. So the reason why I haven't finished this is that I think I still have to add some length to it before it is ready to be bound off and felted. And then I have run out of yarn, and this is such an old UFO that I believe it dates back to 2009, 2008 maybe. That's quite unbelievable that it's possible to have such old whips laying around. And I still want the baskets. Absolutely. I could imagine having this basket for my scraps of yarn, for instance. That could be quite decorative. or maybe I can use it for storing my knitted slippers that we have in our cabin, or yeah, something like that. So I think that what I'm going to do is to add in another color of this yarn. I think that I have been using Setesdalskofte garn from Sandnes. I think I could also use garn from Rauma, or yeah, something like that. This is thick, quite thick wool, which is untreated, so it will easily felt. I can add in a contrast color of some kind, so that the fold over border or top part of the basket would be another color. I have some very hot pink laying around, so maybe I can use that. I'm not sure. But yeah, once I get to this UFO, it will probably finish quite fast. So yeah, just saying. Okay, that was all of my whips and UFOs. No, that was not all of them. I had one more. Oh my word. But now, this is the last one, I promise. So, this is a crochet blanket, or it's supposed to be a crochet blanket once it's finished. It is the pattern that I have been using for this blanket is called the Happy Colors blanket, and it is these round crocheted circles and with a border around them in some white sock yarn. And then I'm going to crochet together all of the squares once they are all finished. I have used a lot of Drops Delight, and they have quite long color fading sections. So you get all of these nice combinations of colors. And I really like them. So I have done quite a lot, and I have also been using this yarn, which is Marks and Cattons in Fame Trend, it's called. Not sure about the colorway though. Yeah, so this is a project that dates back to 2014, and if I recall correctly, I kicked on the pattern first time I started it, and I knitted a bunch of these circles. No, I crocheted a bunch of these circles, and then I got tired of them and I put it away, and then I brought it back some months later and continued the circles and started with the white border around them to make them square. But it turned out that I I'm not sure if the border is a bit too loose crocheted. I think I might need to reduce on the crochet hook size. And yeah, I obviously need to block them to see if the sizing is correct or not. But this won't go anywhere, so I'm just keeping it in an old project bag that I have made myself. And yeah, hopefully I will again find the pattern enjoyable to crochet, and then I will pick it back up and continue. So the last thing I'm going to show you today is some yarn that I purchased a couple of weeks ago because Sandnes, the commercial yarn brand of Norway, one of them, had a sale on some scupper yarn, which is a collaboration yarn between Sandnes and the designer Setesdalskofte. And they were ending their collaboration, so they sold out all of the scupper yarn. And these are two of the colors that I bought. This is in Suri alpaca, which is a very thin and furry alpaca yarn. It is super soft. And I bought several balls of each of these colors, and I have to add that the main reason why I bought the yarn was that it was on 70% sale. And it's quite a luxurious yarn, so I just had to do it. I'm planning to knit a sweater out of this, and a sweater out of this combined with this yarn, which is a thin alpaca that I had in my stash already. The other yarn that I bought was myk, also a scupper yarn, and it is a very dark blue. I think the color was called midnight blue. And I'm planning to knit a cardigan in this yarn, probably, or a sweater. I'm not 100% decided yet. So this was my episode for you this time. I guess it was a bit out of the ordinary podcast format, but hey ho. I hope you anyway enjoyed watching, and that you found it somehow useful or amusing or interesting to see all of my whips and UFOs. I am going to, as I said last time, I'm going to go through my entire stash this winter and photograph all of the yarn and put it into Ravelry. And I am thinking that maybe next episode or the episode after that I will show you what my stash contains. And yeah, so that will also be a special episode, I guess. But anyway, I hope that you're all well and that you get a lot of knitting time, and I will see you later. Happy knitting! Bye bye!
Cold, and there's a place. Oh, wait. Color white this. Oh, wait. I'll play color. I'll mount it. Two. I saw I did this. This what this our best. This the best.
Vise fra neglene dine.
This.
En.
Of bears and a wild one of hers. Probably kids now. This of hers. Probably was this.
Det er ledning på det, vet du. Ok, skal vi avslutte?
Bye
Bye bye.
Because
Sier
we're putting this with this. Bye bye.